What did Dre give you guys off the bench tonight?
He gave us energy, and he had a great week of practice, and it's kind of like you could tell that he was going to play good. He always has energy in practice, always going hard, and he's just one of those guys that's always energetic and going to bring the energy to any team that he's on.
Yes, Dravyn, after having some injuries in high school, what was the process of getting that explosion back? What did it kind of feel like to have that out there today?
It felt good, exposure really is not my focus. It's just coming out, playing hard, providing for my team, making sure my team gets to win at the end of the day, whether that's me cheering on the bench or being on the court.
For you, what's required of coming in and being that spark? Like, what are you looking for when you're on the bench to see maybe where you can pick your spots and give that electricity?
Everything, whatever I can do to help the team get the dub at the end of the game. Sometimes it's good coming off the bench because you kind of can get a feel for the game and how people are playing. So I loved it.
Terrence, what was different about you guys late first half into the second half versus earlier in the game?
We were just playing with energy. We kind of came out flat. They still got offensive rebounds, but we just did a better job blocking in on the ball and kind of limited their offensive rebounds.
Maybe just unrelated to the game, but what's with the shirt, Terrence?
I'm just a big fan of Coach Brad, man. Big fan.
Terrence, you mentioned a flat start. I mean, what do you feel like contributed to that tonight?
I just got to do a better job getting the team ready. I could have been better for us at the beginning too, bringing energy. But it all fall back on me. I got to do a better job leading the guys, and it'll be different against Oakland.
DJ, what's Amani give you around the glass? Seems like he just has a knack for getting rebounds.
Yeah, every rebound is his. It's funny you said that. On the bench, I told Coach Fraser, I'm like, man, he's special. Mm-hmm. And Coach Fraser just said, like, his arms is long. I said, nah, he's special. But he always found a way to get the rebounds. He's always in the right place. He's going to be really good for us. He's a really good player.
Dre, what was your mindset coming into your first game at the college level? Was there any pregame nerves?
No, not at all. I feel like it's normal for every person to have a little butterflies in the stomach before the game, but you just try to shut all that out and just I tell myself every game that I played against dudes this level before, so it's nothing different than playing in high school or anything like that except the physicality.
Dre, how are you, Ty, and Nico kind of approaching the opportunity you guys kind of have to kind of switch out of this point guard spot this year?
Kind of just like learning from each other. Especially me, I'd say I'm learning from both of those guys. Those guys are really good point guards, and I know in the future that's probably gonna have to be a position I play a lot. So just learning off both of those guys and just getting film in and getting with Coach Ty Underwood, watching film every day, learning what I can learn. And it goes the same way for those two guys as well.
Dre, Coach Underwood's kind of talked about how, you're not bashful. You just kind of ready for the moment. Like, what has made you that confident to me just going into your freshman year?
I don't know. Probably my dad. He always tells me that I've done it in bigger and better stages, even though this is like probably the biggest stage I've played at so far. So just keeping that in the back of my head that I played against high-level talent before. I played against some of the guys that's in college doing good already. So just keeping that in the back of my head and keeping my confidence high.
Dre, there was a moment where, like, you stepped out of bounds and you said, my bad, and Coach Underwood said, I know it's your bad play. What's the relationship like? It seems like you guys have a good back and forth. Like, how does he kind of help elevate you, and what's that like with you two?
It's awesome. Most people shy away from like crazy coaches, but when I was being coached by my dad as a kid, he was the craziest coach of all time. Like he's not even crazier than Coach Underwood. So I love it. I love the tenacity he coaches with, and when he starts yelling at me, I love it. That just hypes me up even more and just keeps me motivated.
So did your dad play at Eastern?
Yeah.
Anything you're gonna tell him after this game?
I don't know. I might call him I don't know. I'll see.
Marty's going to have a good year. That team's pretty good. They do a lot of things well. I thought that early we were really, really flat. I thought we were pretty emotionless. I thought our attention to detail, which has been really good, wasn't very good. We got 52% of our misses back a year ago. And they were 19th in defensive rebound percentage last year. We talked at nauseum about offensive rebounding. We had 1 offensive rebound from our starters. So that'll tell you where they were at. And that's disappointing. I'm disappointed in that. Extremely happy with our guys off the bench. I thought Luke Goody came in and immediately sparked us. Got a couple good looks. It's no coincidence that the week before the Kansas scrimmage, Quincy Guerrier was the best player on the court. This week, it's no coincidence that Dre was the best player on the court in practice. And the correlation is very much evident in terms of their production. I thought Marcus had a tough shooting night, was elite defensive on the defensive side. On the defensive side, and then just handling his assignments. We talked about a certain ball screen action going under it and catching it. He hit every single one of them. We gave up 3 early to the middle of the court where we didn't. We busted an assignment, and Marcus was really, really solid there. And then I thought Dane and Amani both did a really, really good job of coming in. Dane established some presence in the paint. Monty finds a way in 14 minutes to get 8 rebounds. You saw that he can step out and shoot a 3. It was nice to see him play some extended minutes in a rhythm, and felt very good about Nico. He got a little sped up, but overall, I thought it was a first game win coming off a big exhibition that we didn't handle very well, but we found a way to win. And a lot of things to clean up, and we'll get to go to film, and we'll get to go to work on Oakland, who is very, very good for preparation for them on Friday.
Coach, I think we heard you say that Sincere's going to redshirt. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
What went into that decision for him and on your side of it as well?
Yeah, it's he's a really, really good player, and I think one of the things that he understands about his development is that he needs to get stronger. He needs to get bigger, and it's come at a little slower pace for him, and I just think that down the road, there's going to be instead of a 10-minute-a-game guy, there's going to be a 25-minute-a-game guy we know he's a very, very good defender, but there's going to be a guy that adds 15 pounds, 18 pounds. There's going to be a guy that his time will help and that year will pay off. And then I'm so excited for him on the academic side as well. The opportunity to get put himself in a great position to graduate and then do work beyond.
Brad, when you look at your guys in the minutes, and is it going to be game to game based on who's playing well, matchups, or there's
200 of them, Brad. There's 200 minutes, and if I ask every player how much they think they're worth, it would probably be and added them all up, the number would be double. Perform, play good, play better. You want to play? Play better. You want to play? Do what we're supposed to do. You want to play? Practice better. It's funny because you look at the plus minuses, and I've been pretty good the last 2. I'm going to count the Kansas exhibition, but I've been pretty good at playing the right guys in the right amount of minutes. And we're about trying to win this. So I don't know. Some nights somebody may have to play 30. I don't know. But boy, I'm glad I played Dravyn tonight. I'm glad I left Marcus in, and I'm glad I played Amani and Dane. And that's pretty comforting as a coach.
Coach, you talked about Luke and the energy that he provided off the bench. Can you talk to us about the pairing of Luke and also with Dre tonight and what you liked about that setup?
Shooting, scoring. I'm gonna be careful with Dravyn in terms of how much I want to compliment him, because I don't want him to read it and actually think it's true. He's a gifted scorer. He can really score at all levels, and Luke's a 40+% 3-point shooter throughout his whole career, and I'm excited for that. And there's space that's available there, and driving, and we're not going to have nights where Coleman has 4 or 5 threes. People are going to do something different, take that away. Terrence isn't going to have games where he makes 4 or 5 threes. There'll be some different things. So it's got to come from different places. And we know that Marcus is a 40+% 3-point shooter, and it's about trying to find those guys, and we call them gravity guys. Pull defenders with them.
So how do you convince Dre that it's not going to be like this every night?
Well, I think he had a pretty good idea against Kansas that it's a little harder, the size is a little different, but to be honest, I want him thinking that, because we've had a hard time in practice when he's with the scout team. We've had a hard time guarding him. He knows how to put the ball in the basket. We saw a little bit of his athleticism on the defensive side, and when he quits making some silly mistakes on the defensive side, which all freshmen do. He's got a bright future.
Coach, it seems like Coleman struggled a little bit early defensively against Hamlin. Are you comfortable with him in the guarding the rim at the 5 spot? Or?
I watched him last year against Zach Edey. I'm really comfortable with Coleman guarding anybody when Coleman wants to guard everybody and do it the right way. And so I'm pretty good with Coleman.
Yes, just one more follow-up about Sincere. What was the timeline for you guys to come to this decision, and what's it say about maybe his understanding of the big picture to recognize this path?
Yeah, I think you involve so many people in that decision, and it's not just he and I, and it's family, and you got to talk to people, and you want a sense of where we're at. He's been a great teammate. He's been an unselfish guy that is put himself in a position that he's always going to play minutes. But I think there's just he wants to be something special, and to do that he's got to gain weight, and I think that's and continue to grow his offensive game.
Obviously, you get frustrated by a performance, but as a coach, is this kind of a good thing that you can, after the Kansas game, that you have something to teach them with?
Yeah, they read all your guys' stuff, and they start to believe it. And it's a false. I mean, we know Kansas and their name and this and that, but the game was over, and it's always great to learn from a win when you don't play well, and you have so many teachable moments, and we have new guys and new faces, and they need to learn to handle social media. They need to learn to handle pressure and all the things that go with that. And it always comes back to one thing: practice. It always comes back to practice. You have to practice well to perform well. And there's no team in America that at any level, NBA or college, that if you don't practice well, you're not usually going to perform very well. And, you can't rest on the last game. Nobody cares anymore.
Sincere had the ability to ignite energy in you guys last year. Do you need Dravyn maybe now to embrace that role? He did it tonight. Is that something you think he can give you guys?
Yeah, I think Dravyn. I think Justin. I think that Quincy. I think all those guys have the ability, and the thing I'm going to miss with Sincere is, man, that's a pretty good feeling as a coach to have a pest on the defensive side. You go sick them. Nobody else is. You're not scoring. And we had that with Andres Felice, off the bench, and we've had it with Buck. We were spoiled with Trent, and we've got to develop that mentality. And we got a great test coming up on Friday against those three, Rocket and the two other guards who are shooting all the threes. We got a great test to find out what our guards are made of. So yeah, it's a those guys got to step up.
Brad, what's your feeling on what you think Jermaine can accomplish in this last year at Eastern, knowing that kid as well as you do?
Well, I think he's played so well in their scrimmages, and the thing for Jermaine's always just been being inconsistent, and you saw it today. I mean, he catches the ball in the block, he can score it. He's a pogo stick defensively. He can block shots. He can be an intimidator. He can be a force for them in the paint. Their point guard is a guy that was at the top of the scouting report. Tiger's a good player. You usually put a good point guard and a good big together, and you got a chance. And you put Lures and I think some of their other wing guys. The kid that came off the bench, I'm just drawing a blank, number 3, Shelton. Those guys, they got some talent, but it's got to start with their point guard and with Jermaine, and I think Jermaine can be a force defensively. He always has been. He's still the only guy that I've seen block Kofi's jump hook on multiple occasions. So he's got those tools.
Was there something in particular from Dre made in the week of practice leading up to this where he thought you might get something?
Well, he works really hard. I didn't want him to be dejected after the Kansas game, a game that we finished that with a lot of veterans on the court. But it's such a process. It's game by game, but he, his work on the scout team. We always put freshmen on the scout team, and he's just been literally unguardable. He's made everything. He spends as much time in the gym as anybody, if not more. A great week of practice, focusing on the defensive side. I've tried to never talk offense with him. Just think about guarding and not making mistakes and dialing in on the scattering report, and he's done all those things.
Brad, what does Quincy bring to the table with his decision making? Obviously, not settling for the 3 and being able to drive to the lane and things of that nature.
Yeah, he's a terrific driver of the basketball. You go back to watching his Syracuse stuff. I mean, they put him in a lot of 15, 17-foot areas and isolated him. Very athletic, plays way above the rim. He's a guy that can initiate contact and score through it. And then again, a guy that he's fighting a little wrist injury. He got his wrist kind of caught in a jersey early in the week, but a guy that made 55 threes last year. So a guy that has the ability to kind of be a 3-way guy. He's not a not a guy we're going to run away from the rim to shoot threes, but he's a guy that when he gets his feet set, it's going to make them.
Since we got all the real stuff out of the way, is there a story with Terrence's shirt that you're kind of all over?
Oh, absolutely.
What's the story?
No, I get my check on the 15th of every month. You don't think NIL doesn't work 2 ways now? I mean, I know who the, I gotta get with my legal counsel and make sure that I'm getting the appropriate tax rate on that. But yeah, that's all it is. NIL works 2 ways.